So how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm bit by bit.
It's the new year.
It's New Year, January 1st. I'm been walking around a little bit more today.
Yeah,
It's been good.
we went on a little walk.
Went on a little walk. Kind of sore, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you much today. What you been doing?
I've been working on my brand, on a logo, drawing.
Good.
I've been reading
Artistic. What have you been reading?
Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Licensing.
Nice. I want to reread that book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good book.
I'm at like chapter 5. I really like it so far.
It's a good book. Makes you think a little bit. Yeah. I don't want to know about your brand. I do want to know about it, but not here because I don't want to tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet. Not until it's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Good. Did you get a workout in today?
No. But I should have.
I didn't get a workout in either. I can't.
No.
One day I'll get. But I gotta get back out of that.
How long do you think it'll be until we start sparring again?
I don't know. I can probably spar with you before I play hockey. Because we could do light sparring and just small, like little movements with the feet and everything.
Yeah.
Whereas hockey would be too much stress.
But what kind of time frame are you thinking?
I don't know. Maybe a couple weeks. Maybe a week. Maybe 2 weeks. I don't know.
I would have thought more.
I'd think more too, actually. Maybe a month. I don't know.
Maybe next week, maybe a month.
Who knows? You know, I honestly, I thought, originally I thought it's going to take at least a couple weeks before I can start doing anything. And then the doctor was just like, I think he was way too optimistic. He said I'd be up walking around the same day. And then that wasn't possible at all. And then you do a little research and you find that, yeah, you're talking a good long time.
Yeah.
So
you should always expect the worst.
I ended up getting too optimistic after speaking with him. So I know now I'm depressed because it's like hockey season. Got lots of games coming up.
And you had freaking surgery a couple days ago.
I know, but
you had surgery a couple days ago.
We got all these games coming up and I just want to play. Who doesn't want to play?
You should go watch them.
I will go watch for sure. But yeah, I was also disappointed because there was a game on today that I wanted to watch, but I forgot about it. I forget what was happening around the time, but I forgot. It was the very first women's professional game between Toronto and
New York. Very first?
Yeah, they don't have a professional league until now.
Really?
Yep, they've had an amateur league and everything. But that basically means...
What is this, an NHL?
Well, it's the
women's.
It's NHL? The women's. It's
WNHL.
It's a PWHL or something like that. And they've always had an amateur league, and then they have the World Championships, and they play in the Olympics and everything. But they've never had a professional league, and so now they have a professional league. And today was the first game, and I really wanted to watch it. And then,
why didn't you? You've been watching TV all day.
Yeah, I know. I think guess Cameron and Hannah came down there watching a movie or something. So yeah, I wanted to see that.
I'm sure there'll be highlights.
Yeah, it will be.
Mm-hmm.
And then World Juniors tomorrow, quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm.
Canada's playing Czechia.
Why don't you say check?
I don't know.
Just check.
I don't know. Maybe someone. I don't know.
I heard the commentator saying that as well.
That's why I say it. Is because they've started doing it the last few years, and I don't know when that changed.
Are you a sheepdad?
No.
Do you do what other people do?
I have to ask a couple of my Czech friends what they say.
Ask them what's politically correct.
Yeah. Don't say Czechoslovakia.
No crap. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I don't remember.
When the split, like the 70s?
Well, I was going to say something like early 90s, but I don't remember. I don't know.
Do you remember it happening?
No.
That narrows it down. What big events have you seen in your lifetime?
I remember the Gulf War when that started. That would have been in like 91, because I remember, how old would I have been? Like 16, I think, at the time. And, all we know is war's breaking out. I remember running into people on the street, like a couple friends who were just walking on the street. They'd gotten off the bus or whatever. It was at night. And we don't really understand what's going on with the war, what that means. But you start thinking, right? Because you're 16 years old, and you're thinking, all right, well, if this drags out, then maybe I'm going to war too, right? Because there's world wars that took a bunch of years, and it was worrying. It was.
Yeah, I was the same way when the Ukraine thing started. Like before anything actually got big, like I was going around like to my friends, be like this is the end. Like eventually they're gonna come into Europe, and then NATO's gonna get involved, and then yeah, I was scaring a lot of people. That was before like it was a big thing, you know.
Did you fart?
My armpits are out.
It's bad, bro. You gotta take a shower. Get your feet off my mattress. That smells, and your feet smell too.
Why do my feet smell?
Well, because they will if.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, I was the same way. I was just trying to scare people, but I was also like.
Were you also scared though?
Well, yeah.
Do you remember,
I was more like. Yeah.
Do you remember though Paul calling Cameron?
Yeah.
Paul is my brother-in-law, Coby's uncle, and he called up Cameron, eldest son, and he was saying that Britain was once it happened, that he told Cameron that Britain declared war on Russia, and that they were enlisting everybody who was 18 and older. And Cameron just freaked out. He was so upset.
Because he thought he was going to war.
Yeah, so because Cameron has a British passport. And yeah, that was funny.
And it fully he fully got him. Like Paul was just kind of half joking because he didn't think he'd actually believe him. But yeah, that was pretty funny. I didn't see it happen, but I heard about it.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, and then we've got. Yeah, the Russian Ukraine thing. I think that scared me a bit.
I think there's still a lot going on.
Oh, there is. I mean, there's been fresh new strikes, and Putin has just said that he's going to ramp up the intensity of strikes and everything too. And I think the start of that.
What exactly are they striking? Military.
Well, they say it's just all military targets, but there's a lot of residents that are getting hit too. So yeah, there's a bit of that. But I think that started to get scary too, as far as the sort of the beginning of a global conflict. And then now you've got the Israeli-Hamas thing, and that seems like it would be even a bigger thing as far as global conflict is concerned.
I think it will, because I mean, it's different. I mean, imagine they migrate all the people in the Gaza Strip, like they all come to like the same thing that Ukraine did. Imagine they do that.
Well, see, that's just it. Is that
because there's what, like 2-point-something million people in
Egypt won't take any of them.
Egypt won't let anybody get through.
And I don't think any of the surrounding countries actually want any refugees. The thing that they're saying on the surface anyway is that they don't want that's not the answer to the conflict. By just relocating people.
Yeah.
And the resolution that comes through, I think they're talking about a 2-state thing, but then the
They've always
Egyptian
been talking about a 2-state thing.
Yeah, the Egyptian president has actually come out and said that he doesn't want to import terrorism. That's one of the reasons he doesn't want to have Palestinians come in. Not that Palestinians are terrorists, but it might allow for some who are members of Hamas to get in or something. I don't know. It's hard to talk about this stuff, because everyone is so
opinionated.
Yeah, and it's not okay to have opinions, but to the extent that you can't listen to both sides of an argument, and and when one side says that they're right and the other side is like,
But
no,
the
they're
problem is
right.
that listening to both sides of the argument, it's sort of assuming what the other side of the argument is. So okay, you say one thing, and that means you believe all these other things. So
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of make
And the
assumptions.
problem is I don't think either side is 100% correct,
No,
right?
of
Like,
course not.
and so that makes it different. It's not like these
I don't
guys are
think any
100%
side.
right and
I don't
these
think any
guys are
side ever
100%
is.
wrong.
I don't think any side ever is
No,
100%
exactly.
right. And there will always be things you can exploit and things you can take out of context and things you can.
So what about this though? I've heard this a couple times, particularly in reference to the Nazis. I guess it would be in reference to any authoritarian society. Is if you've got this group of people who are leading things and making all of these decisions, is it just their fault? Is it just them? Or is it actually collectively the entire people who are also allowing it and perpetuating lies? And in the moment, you might say that somebody has very good reason to perpetuate a lie by saying, okay, well, for my own self-protection, I have to support this leader, because if I don't, that's going to negatively affect me or my family, right? And it's a very true and a very valid argument.
Mhm.
But at the same time, when that means everybody says the same thing, that also means that everybody lets these few get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, well, the leaders have the army
Okay,
at
but
their
what's the
disposal,
cost
but
of standing up to that? You lose your life. You like
yeah,
if you do stand up to it, you could die. You could
yeah,
kill your family. They could kill
true,
your people
but
and everything. And most people are never gonna do that.
true, and I'm saying
Take
this
a
only
hell of
as
a
a
revolutionary.
I'm saying this as an argument more than anything else, of course, right? Because if I was in the situation, I mean, I'm not saying that I would be, that I would do the right thing. In what is the right thing? Is it saving yourself and your family, or is it standing up against what's wrong, right? But let's say the leader says, okay, well, if you don't do this, then you're going to die. And it's like, well, it requires now the officers and the soldiers, whatever, to carry out an evil command,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everybody has to be complicit in doing what is wrong.
The thing is, it's kind of, if there is this authoritarian government, whatever, and you standing up, if that does anything, I think that would be different to then if you stand up, you say something, and then you just get killed, and then it's whatever, and nobody does anything else. But the thing is, if you do that, you motivate other people to stand up, then other people just keep getting killed. But it's also how far will that government go?
Yeah.
But we've also seen how far humans will go.
Yeah, that's crazy, because we've seen a little bit. And having said it, I don't know how things finished. But you had all these riots going on in Iran.
Everywhere in the world.
Because of this girl who.
Oh yeah, that one.
She was killed because she wasn't wearing her hijab.
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. And then you started getting all these riots all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So that was making all the international news and everything. But then it just sort of fizzled out, and we didn't, like, as in the news stories about it, so we don't ever know what happened. And it seems like probably nothing came out of it, as far as it just slowly went away because the government just overthrew the protesters.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, like, so when I said that it went away, I mean that nothing positive may have actually been accomplished.
And how many people were arrested during protests, and how many people were killed during in protests. And, I mean, I'm not saying protesting isn't a good thing, but yeah, I mean, a lot of the time
you
it
have to
doesn't really
protest.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time it doesn't really get anywhere.
And this is one of the things. I mean, I think you always should be allowed to protest. You should be, so long as it's done peacefully, right? And that's one of the things that actually, it's one of the things that drives me insane about Trudeau is that he called the Emergencies Act into play with the trucker.
Oh yeah.
With the trucker protest in Ottawa,
to be able to bypass laws and stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's because they were protesting peacefully, and you could say, all right, well, it disrupted business and it disrupted all these things in the core of Ottawa. But at the same time, I would first say that the whole problem was Trudeau's fault in the first place. Right? It was his fault because everybody knew it was going to happen. Everybody had a problem with what Trudeau was doing, but he wouldn't listen to anybody. He had his idea, he had his mandate, he had his bill that he wanted to pass and get it passed, and he wasn't listening to anybody. So he said, okay, so then all these people said, all right, we're gonna protest. And they drove from across the country, and he basically ignored that the whole thing was gonna happen. And all they ever said was, we want you to listen to us. And he wouldn't listen. When the truckers rolled into town, what did he do? He hid away. He went to like a cottage. He said he was exposed to somebody with COVID, and he went away. And it was sad, because if you're the leader of the country and there's enough people who have a problem with what you're doing, you need to actually engage in dialogue. You don't hide and not listen to them.
I feel like people who hide, or people who won't listen,
Yeah.
have something to hide.
Yeah.
They have, if somebody's kind of clear with themselves and clear with what they're doing, they're not gonna have something to hide. They're not gonna be
Right.
not like I don't know. It's like arguing for the purpose of arguing. It's kind of when you're arguing with somebody who they're not gonna change their mind. Do you keep arguing?
Right.
Like, are you arguing for the
At some point you
for the
just
sake?
stop.
Are you arguing
Yeah.
for the sake of your own pride, or are you arguing for the sake of proving a point, or changing somebody's view, or like finding the truth?
Yeah.
If you're not arguing to find the truth, or if you're not having conversations or speaking to find the truth, then you shouldn't be, because it's just
Exactly. You have to
it's
know that
unnecessary.
intent first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but
And that's part of what drove me insane with
but
him.
the
is
fact that he's
because,
not even arguing in the first place.
well, and there shouldn't have been. He shouldn't have been arguing. He should have been learning and understanding, and he made the whole situation so much worse because, okay, I was against the whole idea of a mandate, but regardless, like a mandate on vaccines, that's what the trucker protest was about. But regardless of that, regardless of my opinion, it would be that he could have said to people, listen, this is the problem that we have at the moment, being COVID-19, and based on what we currently know, this seems to be the best solution that we have at the moment. So for this amount of time, we're going to do this solution, having mandates, until we have more evidence to suggest that we should maybe change and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't do that. He just says, no, we're going to do it based off of very poor evidence. But then at the same time, he wouldn't listen to the other side of an argument. Instead, when somebody has a disagreement with him, he calls them misogynists, racists, bigots, and then he hides himself away and won't have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So he escalated the whole problem. It was his fault that the protest happened, and that it got as big as it did, and that it lasted as long as it did. I mean, we're talking about, for the most part, working class people who maybe can't articulate their ideas as well as, as well as a politician. But to some degree, that would be the politician's job, is to go and speak to the people, understand the wants, the desires, and the needs of their constituents, and then articulate those needs to Parliament. Right? That's the whole idea of having a politician.
Mm-hmm.
And Trudeau completely exemplified the worst job that you could do as a politician. Mm-hmm. Is just make fun of them, call them names, and not listen to them. Mm-hmm. And then enact the Emergencies Act on them to use force to get them out, when it was his fault in the first place because he wouldn't listen in the first
Mm-hmm.
place. And that's part of what drives me so mad about Trudeau, is because essentially it's somebody being authoritarian acting in an authoritarian way in a country that's supposed to be more of a leader when it comes to democracy, like Canada, and then people do protest against it because that's what you should do. You should have the right to peacefully protest. And then he goes to extreme measures to shut them down. That's not democracy in any way. And he's exemplifying, with a smile on his face, he's exemplifying, I don't want to say the worst of humanity. There's a lot of people worse than Trudeau in the world in history. But it's going down that slope.
Yeah,
towards,
because in like those same principles, acting that same way in different situations,
right,
is what leads to the worst
yeah,
kind of people.
Exactly. And having conversations with people at work about this, a lot of the people who called, because this was making international news, a lot of people who thought the worst about Trudeau was actually the people I know from Eastern Europe, because they've already dealt with all of this crap, and they could see all of the signs, everything that Trudeau is doing. It's like that's they've been there, they've done that, and they're just watching Canada go in that same direction. And it's really disgraceful. Trudeau, you're a disgrace.
I sense.
Yeah, some animosity.
I sense some real feelings here.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you do? I don't know enough about it.
But
from what I've heard from you.
Yeah.
But I also haven't heard the other side of the argument. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, because you should hear the other side of the argument. I don't mean necessarily in this situation, but I mean if you're going to take a stance on something, you kind of want to know both sides of the argument. And I do that also too when I'm watching videos and stuff on, different things, trying to hear both sides in the Israeli and Hamas argument, hear both sides on the, most conflicts. You should know the other side. Yes. Atheism versus religion, or evolution versus creation, or whatever. Understand both sides. It's important tool. They do that in debate clubs.
I've never been in a debate club.
You should join a debate club. I've never been in a debate club either. But it's like, if you support A, then
but it's basically just having a conversation with somebody.
Well,
on a different side.
No, because you're arguing your points.
A mediated argument.
Yeah, and you're arguing your points. So if you support A, they will have you maybe defend B.
But do they? Yeah,
so
but
you're
in a debate club, it's more, they give you a topic, and they give you a view, an opinion.
Yeah, you have to support the opinion
that's given to you. Yeah, exactly.
Right, and part of the advantage of that is even if you don't agree with that, you're trying to support it
without.
Right, because what you end up learning is you learn where the other side of the argument is coming from, and it's important. It's very difficult to really. You can't fully understand your own view unless you understand the opposing view.
Yeah.
You can't see the West. You never really see the West Coast until you've been to the East. You've never seen the sunrise until you stayed up all night. Yeah.
To experience it.
Exactly. You gotta know both sides. Just know both sides.
Should end it there.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Know both sides. Two sides of the coin.
Yes, sir.
Two sides of the moon.
The dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Happy New Year, y'all.
Peace.